episode 2. In today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the foundations of acting, specifically on given circumstances and objectives. Now, we're really just going to scratch the surface today because obviously there's so much to acting, but we're going to cover some of the most important basics and do a fun activity as well. So getting started, what are given circumstances? Well, the kind of official definition for given circumstances is the total set of environmental and situational conditions which influence the actions that a character in a drama undertakes. Now, that's a lot of fancy words, but basically what that's saying is it's all the details that we can find out from the script about a situation that influence the scene and impact how you're going to perform it. So we're going to do a short activity to learn about why given circumstances are so important. Alright, so for this activity, we're going to do a little bit of pantomiming. And pantomiming is just very simply acting out a story without using words. So panto means story and mime means silently. So silently acting out a story. Just using your hands and whatever you have. You don't have to grab any props or anything like that. Alright, now I'm going to give you a new detail about the action that you're doing. And as I give you those new details, you're going to change your performance with those details in mind. So it'll make sense as we get started. Alright, so I'd like you all to start pantomiming, acting out, like you're digging a hole. Now, the new detail I'm going to add is that you're digging a hole with a shovel. So change your performance to match that. Okay, now the shovel that you're using is a tiny little beach shovel because that's all you had lying around. Good. Okay, now it's the middle of January in New England. See how that changes your performance. Okay, now you don't have any gloves on. And it's still the middle of January in New England. So we're adding on each detail, okay? Now, it's noon and the sun is shining in your eyes. How does that change? Okay? Great. Now, it snowed last night. You're still digging that hole. Good. Now, you're looking for your mom's car keys that she dropped somewhere, but you don't know where, before it snowed. Good. The last detail is that you need your mom's car keys right now because you're running late to a concert with your favorite band. Good. Okay, you can stop pantomiming now. Awesome. So, that activity was designed to just show us how important knowing the given circumstances of our scene is. Because with each new detail, it changes how you perform, right? If it's in the middle of January, it's really, really cold. If you don't have gloves on, then maybe your fingers are freezing up. If the sun is blinding you, then maybe you're squinting or trying to get the sun out of your eyes, right? So each new detail changes something about the scene, as well as that last one, which is it creates a sense of urgency, right? Now you need something, and so it's going to change how you're digging that hole. Awesome. Okay, so now that we know why it's important, let's jump into the details of what given circumstances are. So what are given circumstances? Well, basically it's the who, what, when, where, and why of the scene. Let's look at a couple of specific examples. So first of all, we have the setting, both when and where your scene is taking place. So this can be location, both general and specific, whether that's the country or the town or the specific building that you're in. So it can be general or very specific. Same thing with when. So it could be the season, the time period, the time of day, as specific as that. Another example of given circumstances is character. you have to know who your character is and who the other character is in the scene as well, or if there are multiple characters, who all of the characters are. And you have to know specifics about them. So there are lots of examples of this, but a couple specific examples are age, how old are they? As well as things like gender, race, class status, job, what is their occupation, what is their family life like? Any of these details that help us get to know our characters better as people. The next thing it's important to know is relationship between all of the characters in the scene. And not just simply the type of relationship, that's definitely part of it, but just saying that the two people in the scene are, say, siblings or best friends or mother and daughter doesn't tell us quite enough, because lots of sibling relationships are very different, as well as parent-child relationships and friendships. So we're looking for the type of relationship as well as the length of relationship. How long have they known each other? Have they known each other 2 days, 3 weeks, 5 months, 10 years? Because all of those things are going to make the relationship very different from each other. As well as the nature of the relationship. So what is their relationship like? Do they get along most of the time? Not a lot? What is their relationship like? And finally, their relationship history. So if they just met each other, they won't have a lot of relationship history. But if they've known each other for 10 years, there's a lot of things that have happened in the past. So knowing if there are any really important events that have happened in the past that will impact their current relationship. You also want to identify something known as the moment before, which sounds fancy, but really just is asking what just happened right before the scene. Because you never want to walk on stage having no idea where your character's coming from or what just happened. So you want to know what just happened right before the dialogue starts, right before you walk on stage. The final piece of given circumstances we're going to look at today is conflict. Now, conflict is really important because it's essentially the core of all drama. Because let's face it, we don't go to the movies or to theater to see people get along, right? That's not interesting, that's not fun to watch. So there's always, in film, in TV, in theater, some kind of conflict. And we've all experienced conflict in our lives, right? It's something that's very familiar to us. So what we're going to look at in a little more depth right now is what causes conflict? Why does conflict exist? Because that's going to be really important when you're acting a scene. And so basically, what causes conflict is when people in a scene want different things, when they have different goals. So that's what we're going to look at a little bit more right now. So knowing what your character wants in any given scene is arguably one of the most important things in acting. And in acting, we call that the objective. So like I said, the objective is what your character wants, or what their goal is, what they're striving towards, what they're pursuing in the scene. Because the scene's not going to be interesting to watch if characters are just sort of hanging out. So you always have to know what your character wants, what they're trying to achieve in the scene, okay? Now, 2 more terms relating to the objective. One of them is obstacle, which makes sense that the obstacle is what is in your way. So if the objective is what your character wants, what they're trying to get, the obstacle is what is in their way of achieving that objective. And that can be anything. The obstacle can be themselves, it can be another person, it can be a situation, it can be anything that is preventing them from getting their goal. And then finally, the tactic. So if the objective is what you want, or you're trying to get, the obstacle is what's in your way, a tactic is what you do to try to achieve your objective and overcome your obstacle. So it's the how. It's how you try to get what you're pursuing. And anytime that we're talking about tactics, these are active things. These are verbs. So when you're identifying tactics and when you're coming up with tactics that your character might use in a scene, we want to be thinking of action words. And so in the worksheet that's attached, there's going to be a lot of examples of different tactics that you could use in a scene. All right, so like I said at the beginning, we've just begun to scratch the surface of acting. There's so much more to learn. But this will get you started, and these are some of the most important basics to know. So here's your challenge for this week. This week, I'm challenging you to work on something called an open scene. So an open scene is a scene that has very general dialogue that isn't set in a specific context or situation. Something like, "Hi, how are you? I'm good. What are you doing?" But with a little bit more detail than that. But what's really, really fun about open scenes is that there are no given circumstances on the page. And so what you get to do is you get to decide the given circumstances. So there's a worksheet linked down below that has a couple of options for different open scenes that you can choose. And you're going to choose one, and then the worksheet will guide you through deciding on your own given circumstances. So you get to develop your own characters, your own situation. You don't change the dialogue, but you get to decide what that dialogue means. Now remember, like we talked about, and objectives being super, super important, your character has to want something. So you're also going to decide what your character wants, what the other character wants, and make sure that they're different things so that you have conflict. So that's your challenge for this week. Go through the worksheet, either by yourself, with a family member, and then grab a family member and stage it and send us your videos. And what's super fun is that we could have 5 different people do the same open scene and they could be completely different. So have a lot of fun with that this week. We can't wait to see your videos. And also in the worksheet down below, there will be some additional resources if you want to learn more about different acting terminology or more things that you can do, such as learning about super objectives, learning about beats, and scoring a script, and all kinds of things. So definitely check that out. And we look forward to seeing your videos, and we can't wait to see you again next week. Bye!